Alright, so in case you guys aren't familiar with power-ups in Headball 2, basically how the power-up system works is as you go along in the game, you can unlock more power-up slots. And these power-up slots hold power-ups, and those power-ups you can use in the game, right? So when you start out, you only have a few power-up slots unlocked and maybe a couple power-ups, but at the end, once you progress far enough, you will have a maximum of 6 power-up slots and 18 power-ups to choose from in those power-up slots. Okay, so the goal of using power-ups is to generally get a one goal swing one way or the other. So if the other player is about to score and you could use a power-up to stop them from scoring, then that's potentially minusing off one of their goals, which is a one goal swing. Now, vice versa, if you can use a power up to create yourself a goal where you wouldn't have one otherwise, that is also adding a goal to your score, which would be a one goal swing. And that is a general goal. If you could get some type of two goal swing where you stop them from scoring and you score yourself, then that's even better. But when we're looking at which power ups are the best, we have to look at which power ups can get that one goal swing in the most efficient manner, in the most reliable manner as well. Alright, everybody, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about the worst power ups in Headball 2. These power ups are ones that you probably shouldn't use in your top 6 slots, and I'm going to explain why for each power up. Hope you enjoy. I think we should start this off with the Invisibility power up. Okay, so this power is pretty self-explanatory. It makes you invisible, right? And while that can be helpful, I think that the fact that the ball is still visible makes this power up an easy one to counter. If you can see the ball, you can kind of shadow the ball, watch where it's going, and you can still defend it fairly well. So I think that's one of the worst power-ups. Now next on the list of power-ups you should not use is clone balls. Now, while this power-up can be pretty deceptive when you use it, if the opponent is watching closely, they can see which ball you're kind of going after and which ball you're kicking, and they can usually tell after a little while which ball is the correct one. And not to say this isn't a power up that can help you, it definitely can, but it's just easy to counter in that way. Okay, next power up, Invisibility Ball. Now, this power up has similar issues to the Invisibility power up, but vice versa. This is where the ball is invisible, but the player is very visible. So you can see the player moving, you just can't see the ball, and this basically gives you a good chance of blocking it because you can tell when they're kicking the ball. And even though you can't see if it's a high or low shot, you still have a good chance of blocking it. And I don't think it's exactly efficient enough where you can say it's one of the better power-ups in the game. Alright, next on this list is Freeze Goal. Now, I don't think this is a terrible power-up, but I definitely would not choose it because of its ability to get countered very easily. Now, if you're playing a player if you're playing against a player with a high overall, they're gonna be able to kick through that frozen goal, which kind of defeats the purpose of it. So if you're playing a player of over like a 105 overall, they can kick through that frozen goal and make it useless. And also, there's some key ways to counter it. If you make the goal big, it's not frozen anymore, or with just a few solid kicks to it, it will break. So for those reasons, I think that it's just not as reliable as some of the other power-ups. Next power-up on this list of worst power-ups is the Big Ball power-up. Now, this is a power-up like the Freeze Goal for mainly defensive purposes, but I just don't think it's as reliable as some of the other defensive power-ups. Although it's pretty easy to block it when the ball is coming to you, it's not perfect. It can slip under you, it can get around you, And even though it is at a cheaper price, I don't think it's one that you should pick in your top 6. Alright, next up, we got the Disorient power-up. Now, this power-up is one of the cheaper power-ups, which makes it kind of at the top of this, or at the bottom, I guess, of this worst power-ups list, in the fact that when you use it, it doesn't cost that much. So you can use it consistently, game in and game out, and not get a huge hit on your currency. Now, the problems with this is once you do it, if you're playing against a skilled player, I mean, they're going to be thrown off a little bit, but they're going to probably figure it out. And I know I've gotten used to dealing with Disorient, and they'll probably play a little more conservatively, and unless you can use it like at the perfect time where they're retreating and they get switched up, unless you can use it in that perfect time, I feel like it doesn't usually equate to that easy goal like other power-ups are. Now, the last power-up on this list, it's a little controversial, but the last power-up on this worst power-ups list is the Fireball power-up. Now, this Fireball power-up, it can easily create you goals. It can. It's not terrible. But for the simple fact that you can react to it, that you have enough time to react to it, I think it makes it easily blockable shot, because you're likely not going to do a low shot. So you're kind of forced to do a high shot when you have this Fireball. And if your opponent can just react quick enough and see it, then that's an easy block. I know I've gotten used to blocking those Fireball hits, and I've been able to do it. Probably block them at least like 65% of the time. So yeah, that concludes our worst power-ups list. Alright everybody, I hope you enjoyed that video. Just to recap the list, we got Invisibility, Clone Balls, Invisible Ball, Freeze Goal, Big Ball, Disorient, and Fireball. So those are the power-ups you should not use under any circumstance. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, share, and let me know if you want to see a best power-ups video. See ya.